Hello and welcome to Color Theory. I'm Alvalyn Lundgren and I'm your instructor. And I want to give you a overview here of the course and the expectations. So let me begin with the purpose of the course, and that is to provide you with a working understanding of how color actually works. Color has a lot of absolutes about it. We work with color systems and we'll be talking about those. There are digital color systems and there are analog or pigment-based color systems. They all work together, and it's important because of how we work today to understand how those different color systems work together. So we're going to begin with an understanding of the physicality of color in terms of it having absolute properties, it having empirical properties, things that don't change. Color always acts and reacts as it does. As we understand that, we can make better color decisions. We're going to develop skill in recognizing and identifying colors. The ability to see a color and know what color family it comes from is really helpful in creating color schemes and working with color in a meaningful and relevant way. We're going to develop the ability to create appropriate color schemes for different purposes. Color communicates, color affects us physically, it affects us psychologically, and so it's very important to understand color in terms of its effect on our well-being, its effect on our mood. We're going to develop the ability to see color in terms of what is that color and what is it made up of, and therefore be able to work with color. So we have a whole vocabulary regarding color theory, and it's not just about the principles, it's actually about what red actually looks like, and does this color have red in it, or is there blue in it as well, and what does that mean, and then what is the level of saturation, what is the level of value, and based on that, what kind of choices do we make regarding that color and how it would fit into a color scheme. So the ability to see color with a fair degree of accuracy is very helpful to designers and other visual artists. And already alluded to, color does affect us emotionally. It affects us physically. It's important to understand how that happens, why it happens, and how we can work with it. We're also going to take a dive into historical use of color and also what's going on technologically with different types of colors and pigments. And, of course, digital color. The makeup of the course is online lectures, video lectures. There's a textbook. You will be doing research in order to complete your assignments. There are demonstration and tutorial videos to help you complete the assignments, but also to give you additional information that will be useful to you. There are a couple of quizzes. There is a midterm quiz and a final quiz. And we have discussions. We have online discussions for the online course. Those weekly discussions are required, and they're how you attend class. For this course and most of the foundational design courses, you're going to be following a tradition that was begun by the Bauhaus back in the 1920s and 30s, with an approach to color in this case that is scientific or visual, which Johannes Itten described as color impression, how we are impressed, how we actually see color, how it works, what's the relationship between light and shadow in how we see form. His definition of color expression is the psychological and biological impact that color has on us. And then the symbolism, how we use color to communicate. And color always communicates, and all design communicates in some way. And Itten described that as color construction. So we are going to take this approach, the impression, expression, and construction, as we move through the course. We're going to start with impression, we'll move into expression, and then wind up with construction. So a few things to set the stage in general for this course is that color theory, learning it, is actually a fairly tedious task. You're doing a lot of color mixing. We do a lot of color mixing, whether we do it in pigment or digitally, in order to understand the optics or the physics of color. To see anything means you're seeing in color. So understanding that there's an exactness, there are absolutes to color, is very helpful. Color's also meaningful in that we use it to express ourselves. We use it to communicate. It is depictive, in other words, it describes something. And it also connotes, we apply meaning, or we can construe through the application of color. And as already mentioned as well, it has a biological impact on us, and it has a psychological impact on us. You're going to feel calm around certain colors, and you're going to be more agitated or uncomfortable around other types of colors. Color is part of the form language of design. Color, because of its intricacy, its complexity, needs its own course. In order to explore it well enough to be able to use color comfortably, you have to look at it separately from design fundamentals, but understand that it is part of design fundamentals. It is part of the form language. Form is the visual appearance of something. We don't see anything without being able to see color. Every designer, no matter what their discipline, uses a form language. Those who use that language with skill can create more useful, more practical design. Since we're talking about a visual language or a form language, any language has structures. Any language has its own syntax and grammar. Whether it's a character-based or an alphabet-based language, there is structure. So there's structure to color. Because it is part of the form language, it is a formal element. It's a form-based element of design. Color always acts the way it acts. I have already mentioned it's absolute. Understanding that makes it easier to work with it. Because it's absolute, it's based in empirical understanding, in scientific or physics, optics understanding. It is universal to all human beings in terms of its physicality, shall we say. Just as all human beings breathe and have bodily functions in common, our visual apparatus, our ability to see, the relationship between the eyes and the brain are common to all human beings, and therefore our ability to see color is common to all human beings, with, of course, exceptions for color blindness and things like that. If your visual system is functioning properly, you'll see color accurately. You may not identify color in the same way. You may not recognize color in the same way or think about color in the same way. But color does what it does. So that's the science aspect of color. So to get all this understanding done, there is coursework, because this is a course. So in this course, we do a lot of color mixing. We will mix hues. We will understand the color systems by mixing pigments. You will do color studies to understand how color affects our perception of space and how color can be used to communicate. And there's a term assignment which deals with the history of color. You're using gouache and you're color mixing, and then you're slicing and dicing color chips into various shapes and sizes to complete the exercises. And in doing these exercises, you're not only building the hand skills and the color mixing skills, you're building your perceptual skills. You will be able to see color more accurately, and you'll be more aware of color at the end of this course. So this is a grand tour of some of the assignments. Some assignments may be done digitally, but you will be mixing color, and you will be sorting and organizing color. My approach to design, I'm a brand designer, graphic designer, and illustrator. We don't design out of nothing. We assimilate, borrow, and acquire. The more we know, the more we have to draw from to create new ideas. Design is a service profession. No matter what type of design you practice, you are serving others. You are creating solutions. You are creating things that are going to impact people's lives. Design is not a form of self-expression. Design creates more value in the world for people. We use it for communication. We design to improve our living spaces and our workspaces to make things more effective and more efficient. Design principles are universal. That form language that I've already mentioned is a universal visual language. It cuts across cultural preferences. It cuts across personal preferences. We use the design principles to support style and individual expression, but those principles themselves exist beyond somebody's opinion or somebody's personal taste. To design well, you have to work at it because it doesn't just happen. One person might seem to have more ability or more talent for design, but design is a learned skill. And in any case, no matter how much talent you have, there's work involved. You have to grow and stretch yourself as a designer, as a creative, and making design that actually works and accomplishes what it is set out to do, that involves some effort. There is a standard of excellence in the industry. Again, no matter which design profession, which design field you move into, there is an expectation of high quality work, and that's why we also look at craftsmanship and your ability, hand skills or digitally, to put things together and create a quality work product. My approach is Socratic. I give you the information, you work with it, you draw your own conclusions, and then you support your conclusions.